Hello again, everybody. So here is the somewhat anticipated review of my collection bullet journals. I actually did film this back in December, but I have been having some technical difficulties exporting, and I realized that I probably should just film it again, start fresh, because I've also added things to these two journals. So let's dive in. I have two collection bullet journals. This is my first one. So he is a Leuchtturm. It is a soft cover, so there's half the pages of a normal Leuchtturm, so it's 121 pages. I do have my measurement grid set up in the back. And I started this somewhere around the end of my first bullet journal because I realized that with how quickly I go through bullet journals, so you've got my little intro page here, and this. I realized with how quickly I go through bullet journals, there are certain collections I just didn't want to migrate every 4 months. So I have a date at the start so that I know whenever I finish this, I can see how long the collection bullet journal actually lasted me. For example, 2 years, 3 years, more. So just kind of for my own reference. I do use the index, and you'll see that my index is a lot more full than it sometimes is in my bullet journal because these are all collections. They're all things I need to actually index. So first up is my bucket list. This is where I keep my long-term bucket list. So a lot of these are languages, places, and things to do with languages and writing and that sort of thing. So this is kind of just almost like a brain dump page. It's not very organized. They're not sort of action-oriented goals yet. This is just kind of ideas. So wanted a place to keep all of those. On the next page, I have a 4-year overview. So this was where I wanted sort of a broad view future planning spread. So this gives me an idea in the next 4 years, what do I want to see happen? What do I have going on? That sort of thing. So you can see that, for example, 2019, not really much going on because I just don't know yet. So I'm trying to fill in things sort of as I go. So we'll see. This might end up getting tweaked eventually, but for now, this works. I like having a place to write stuff down if I need to. Then I have my 52 goals in 52 weeks for 2017. I've posted this on Instagram, so if you're curious, this is basically anything that I've been meaning to do, open-ended tasks that I've been migrating for a while have gone on here. You can see that I haven't actually checked anything off yet. I need to sort of re-look at this and maybe pick a couple to focus on in February since it's already nearly the end of January. This is followed by my 52 books in 52 weeks. So I gave myself a full spread, and I just do a basic grid. So I basically have what number book I'm on, the week I finished reading it, the title of the book, the author, and my personal rating, which I don't do star ratings. I just do like little notes basically. And I gave myself two full spreads because I ended up reading 60 some books in 2016, so I wanted to have enough to kind of go over 52 if I did and have it hopefully live all on this spread. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, he's just my long-term tracker. I do still have my reading goals in my bullet journal, and what I've started doing at the end of that is at the end of the line, when I finish the book, I write the date that I finished it so that I can go back and just kind of check and see if I need to for whatever reason. Then we get into my media collections. Now this is where the bulk of my use comes from in this collection bullet journal. I have tons and tons of lists for media. So nonfiction style books, books in Italian, books in Spanish, let's see if I can center, books in French. So classics, you'll notice here I sort of will do on the first line the author, and then I'll do an indent and do the works. So for example, if I want to read all of Oscar Wilde's books or all of Dorothy Sayers' books, I try to keep them in one place so that I don't have to jump around and try and find them. After that though, they're kind of in any order. You might notice that this side is mostly multiple works by one author, whereas these are often just one-off books by different authors. So that was just kind of how I set it up so that I could find them again. I have young adult, regular novels, and again, you'll see, for example, I have Rainbow Rowell here. She does some young adult, some adult, so I just put all of her works in one place so that I could find them easily. Fiction series, so this one, again, I number so that I know what I'm up to and how many books are in the series. Usually, if I've jumped to the next line, that means the series is finished. However, not always, so that might end up getting a little confusing if the authors keep writing. Movies. So this one is just broadly separated A through M and through Z, and I believe I put numbers. Yes, numbers go with N through Z, 8 Miles down here. So they're sort of alphabetized as much as I had on the list, but as I add new things in, they just kind of go in their separate pages. It's kind of a messy list. I have fewer movies that I want to watch than anything else, so that's why he only has one spread. Then TV shows. So I like to have a list of shows that I've actually finished watching. Some shows, for example, I have watched multiple times. Comes to mind, Friends, Buffy. I've actually watched the shows all the way through maybe 2 or 3 times. I like to rewatch. It's a thing I do. So I have a running list here of shows that I finished, and then I have the shows that I'm working on or have just finished. And if I do finish them, I will migrate them. So for example, That 70s Show is under comedy. So when I finished him, I wrote him down here. So I have foreign language shows, which not very many yet. Hopefully we'll add to that. Drama, crime and medical, comedy, sci-fi, fantasy. So you can see that I have a lot of shows on here that maybe I've got the seasons numbered. So they're shows I'm planning on watching but haven't necessarily started yet. If I've started crossing off the seasons, it means obviously that I've watched them. I also will do, for example, with That 70s Show, I have how many seasons are in the complete series and whether it's finished. So if it has done on the end, that means I am not expecting any more series. The series is completely finished, so that when I finish, he gets migrated to my completed TV show list. So that's how I kind of can keep track of if I'm waiting on, have I watched up to whatever is filmed, but I'm still waiting for more or not. Kind of helps me keep track of things, if you will. And I will also sometimes do a one line if I've started. But again, like with Big Bang Theory, they're still filming and I haven't caught up, so he's open-ended. So rewatches, because these were ones that were already on my completed TV show list, but I might want to watch them again. So they just kind of plop on here because they're not new series per se. And overflow, because as you might have noticed, I was running out of room on pages. Then I have travel logs, so travel logs, travel memoirs, those types of books. I started a list here because even though they're nonfiction, I was running out of room, and my nonfiction list was more planning or like cooking or whatever, and I wanted a place for travel books basically. Then I have this. This is the first spread that I actually really was not happy putting it in here. I just at the point didn't have a better place to put it. So as you'll see, this was a 70-day challenge, so it was bigger than a month level. And I think I might have been changing between bullet journals at the time. I don't remember, but I wanted to have the whole spread for tracking it in one place. So I put it in here. However, if I were to do this again, he would go in my other collection bullet journal, and you'll see why. Also, I don't know if you can actually read this. I don't know how clear my camera is, but I messed up the end date. It's actually ended in September, not July. It was not like 4 days or whatever. But yeah, so he sort of started me thinking that I might need another collection bullet journal, but it happened later. Moving on, I have information for my weekly and monthly reviews for bullet journal and for life. So if I want to do a review, but I don't remember what I usually like to put in it, or I'm stumped for ideas, then I can come and look at here and see, oh yeah, these are things that I've done before and I like those, and I can sort of pick and make a spread in my bullet journal to do. Same thing goes for weekly templates. I tend to use the same style of templates, and I actually have a new one this week, so I might have to add him in here if I decide I like him, so that if I want to change it up or I want to remember what I've used before and I don't want to physically flip back through my bullet journals, I have sort of a record here. Next, I have my master list of meals. So this was actually created by Kim over at Tiny Ray of Sunshine. And this used to live in my normal bullet journal, but I don't add to it very, very frequently, and I wanted it to be more long-term. So I've given myself a full spread, and I just keep a running list. So these, I've used her breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack categories. However, I tend to not be super picky about when I eat things. I will eat whatever for breakfast. You know, I eat soup for breakfast sometimes. So for me, this is kind of arbitrary, but it's really the list of meals that I find very useful. And I have started writing in, if it's from a cookbook, I have sort of abbreviations for the cookbook and the page number, or for example, if it lives in Evernote. So I did start adding to this, and I have a little bit more later. So you'll see this bullet journal is kind of out of order because I add things in sort of as I go. So in the next page, I actually have fantasy books, So obviously more books, but immediately following, I have started writing in recipes that for meals that I've recently added here that have a recipe that I might actually forget. So for example, I know that bacon, eggs, and green beans, I know what that means. I don't need a recipe, but Mexican breakfast, Mexican feast, however you like to call it. There are a couple of moving parts and I wanted to have a place to keep it, even though I do have the recipe elsewhere. This is just my reference book. So I wanted to have him live in here. So I've started adding in a couple of recipes. So that is going to be, the end of this guy is probably going to be more recipes, books, TV series, whatever like that. And then at the back, so let's start at the very back. So I've left a few pages. So I have one page, a full spread, and this guy. So this is my in the archives. This is how I do notebook threading. So notebook threading, if you are not familiar, is something that Kim over at Tiny Ray of Sunshine also developed. And it basically requires that you give your bullet journal a number. So this is bullet journal 1, bullet journal 2. My current one is bullet journal 3. So I actually, when I put my archive stickers on my bullet journal, I label it as bullet journal 1, bullet journal 2, so that I know. And then the second after the period is the page number. So I have the title of the spread and what page and what bullet journal I can find it on. I also have, for example, my 2016 reading challenge went between 2 bullet journals. So I have bullet journal 1, page 105, and bullet journal 2, page 9. So this I have left, and I have plenty of room. I can go through, who knows how many bullet journals, depends on how many spreads I want to transfer over. So anything that I have already made a spread that I realize after I finish the bullet journal, oh, I might need to look at that again, I put it here. Otherwise, if I know in advance it's something that I want to keep, I'll put it in this actual bullet journal. But this just gives me a way of finding things a little bit easier. I also have my Tombow chart. So I did not organize my pens by number order. If you will notice, I have all of my grays up here and all the pastels here, and then all of kind of the bold colors in sort of a rough rainbow. So I wanted a way, if heaven forbid I ever drop my case and have to reorganize everything, I wanted to know where I keep everything. And I've left space because I want to go through and pick out some of my favorite colors. So for example, I use 312 a lot. I love 847, but I want to actually pull those out because I know I see them on here, but then, sometimes I have color combinations that I like together. So for example, I think 912 and 942 are ones I like to use together. So at some point, whenever I get around to this, I would like to have, 912 plus 942. I like those two together and just sort of keep a list right here. Okay. So that is my first collection bullet journal. My second one is more recent, and as I mentioned before with that tracking spread, this is for things that I need to keep, but maybe don't need to keep forever. So I'm using a Rhodia dot grid. I actually did go through and number all of my pages, and I set up an index. I gave myself a full spread because I wasn't really sure how much I would need, and it's not a very long journal, so I figured I would kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. So this is for things that, like I said, I want to keep, I need, but are maybe not as much memories as are what in here. I mean, this is going to be a record of the things I've watched and eaten and done for however long I have this journal. And so this I want to be kind of nice to look at because they're memories, whereas these are mostly lists. So I have, for example, my 2017 cleaning tracker. I wanted to just make it up once and be done with it. But after I finished 2017, I really don't care how often I clean my bathroom. It's just for me to keep track of now. So that's why he's in here. So cleaning tracker is in here. I also have lists for online shops that I have, wish lists, orders. I start pricing out, kind of keeping track of where I'm finding things. I've started doing for different cities, stores I would like to go to. So you'll see I add in, for example, how to get there. So public transportation, the hours, the address, that sort of thing. So I still have to fill in some of these, but I have a space for them. More online. I also started meals to try. So this, my master list of meals, wherever he lives in here, oops, somewhere. So wherever my master list of meals is, this list is for the things that I've tried that I know I like. This list is for the things that I would like to try or haven't done in a while and haven't yet decided if I want to add them into my repertoire. So I have the name, I have any added information that I need to know, a page number from a cookbook, what have you. And I also will mark, so cross it off if I actually do it, and mark if I like it or not. So I gave myself a spread, and I'll add on to him later if I need to, but I gave myself a spread. If I like it, then he gets transferred into my other collection bullet journal. I also have, for example, I want to do a list of hashtags that I like to use for Instagram. Obviously, haven't quite gotten there, but you'll see that these are just sort of running lists of things that I want a place for them. They don't need to live in my bullet journal. They're probably longer term than one bullet journal, but not as long as my collection, so they live in here. And that is really all I have in this guy. So far, it's working out pretty well. I like having the two separate journals for collections. I know this might seem kind of weird for some people who like to keep everything all in one journal. I tried that, and I'm not a one journal kind of person. So maybe this will help somebody who feels a little bit restricted by a one journal method and wants to expand. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I am sorry that this video took me so long to put up. Like I said, I had some technical difficulties, so I hope this time I will actually be able to post it, and I will see you next time. Bye.